We are fixing to install the rear bumper on the new 2015 Chevy 2500 truck. Step number one, we need to remove the factory bumper off the truck. So we got to go underneath and remove the two, what are they, 15s? 13 millimeters bolts.
The one on this side?
Out behind the license plate that the chrome bumper goes onto the receiver. That is step one. Now that we have removed those two 13 millimeter bolts, now we have to take out the three bumper bracket bolts. The top one is a 15 millimeter, top back is a 15 millimeter, and the other two are 21 millimeters. You have to remove those. There's three bolts on each side that you would have to remove. Now that you've got those side bolts out, now you need to remove the 21 millimeter bolt underneath on each side that holds the another bracket bolt underneath there, 21 millimeters to the frame that you have to remove. You have to use an extension to get to it, and there's your 21 millimeter bolt that you need to remove. There is one on each side. Remove those two, and then we will continue. Now that that bumper is loose, now you have to remove three 18 millimeter bolts on each side that hold the bed to the frame out. The factory bumper will not come out unless you remove those bolts and lift the bed up. The very back one was hard to see. I'm trying to get to it. It's the bolt straight up through that hole right there by the receiver. And remove that one, and the other two are farther in front of the truck. As you can see, one of them is pretty much straight up from the spare tire. You can see there, go down the frame towards the front of the truck, and you will see one more farther forward. Those are the three that need to come loose so you can jack the back of the bed up to remove the factory chrome bumper. Three 18-inch millimeter bolts. Three on each side to lift the bed. We are now going to put a jack underneath the truck. You can get a 2x4 or whatever it takes to get up to the bottom of the bed. You need to jack the bed up to probably a couple inches, and the mounting brackets on the chrome bumper will not come out unless you do. Okay, one guy on each side. You're going to pull the bumper out, but you cannot come all the way out. You got to get the wire harness loose for the trailer plug, which is also goes to sensors and
there's the one for the trailer plug.
There's the trailer plug.
This one.
The one for the sensors and all that is back up underneath the truck. There may be a few clips that have to be cut to remove it from all the other wires on the truck. And there's a little red peg on the side of that harness that's got to be pulled back, and then you push in on the black ring around it, and it will slide out as such. Now you're ready to remove the chrome bumper. If you want, find a table or a cart or something you can set it on. You will end up having to come into the back side if it has sensors to take the sensors out and put into your new Frontier rear bumper. You can now go back to your truck and let your bed down. You do not forget to make sure that you put the bed bolts, the 18 millimeters, three of them on each side, back in the truck. Make sure they are tightened Do it right away so you don't have to worry about forgetting later. Here we are on the factory bumper. We are removing the license plate light harness out of the light. You can clip that off of there, and after a little bit, when we get the other bumper put on, put the harness in there, that's where we're going to wire the Frontier fog lights, or Frontier license plate lights too. He's removing clipping some clips, that way you can get the harness out. The sensors have to be removed also. You can pull the little red peg back, then you got to push down the little black housing around it, and the sensor comes out. Let's go ahead and we're going to show you how to remove the sensor out of there. You got to spread the little sides out from the sensor, because there's little clips on the sensor that hold in the little harness that it's in. You see right there, so you got to pull them apart and the thing will pull out. We use the factory housings in the new Frontier bumper to hold the sensors in. That really works well. So he is removing the housing right now from the factory bumper. It is plastic, don't get too rough with it. Now that this housing is loose, you can pull it out, and we are going to reinstall that housing in the Frontier rear bumper. We are now at the Frontier rear bumper. Make sure you use you put the same housing, same sensor in the same spot from one bumper to the other. You don't want to rotate the sensors. You don't have to. Make sure they're all angled the same on the new bumper. Now we're sliding the sensor in the housing. Sure it snaps in. And do that to all four. If you do not have sensors on your truck, we have a grommet and a plug supplied to put in the hole. You're going to put the ring one in there. There's a lip all the way around it for it to fit into. Sure it's all in there, and then the plug just goes in. And that's what covers the hole if you don't have them. Okay? Now we are removing all the harness out of the factory bumper. You need to take it to your new Frontier bumper, and you're gonna do a plug and play game and put it in as you took it out of the other bumper. You have to remove the plug harness for the trailer plug from the factory bumper. You take a screwdriver and you can pry that loose and it pops out. You can see the little clips that were holding it together. And we're going to put it in the Frontier bumper. Before you install the plug, there's some little clips that hold it in that have to be pried out a little bit so they make sure that it catches in the new bumper. Make sure the clips are pulled out so they are grabbing the back plate of the bumper so they will not pop out going down the road. Such as the lights that are provided for the license plate in the bumper. You may have to take the file and file in the hole just to get a little bit of paint off to make sure that the light has a ground, and then you can insert the light. And it will snap in. We are fixing to be ready to put the bumper on the truck, but when we were taking the bumper off, the original bumper off the truck, the bottom bracket bolt that you removed needs to be replaced by a 3/4 or a 1/2 by 1 3/4 bolt that is provided inside the frame there. That needs to be put on each side is the fact now that there is no nut there on the factory bumper, you have to use ours that is provided. The top back hole, we have a 3/8 bolt that is going to be installed underneath the truck. The bottom two, closer to the bumper, is going to have a 1/2 by 1 3/4 bolt once we are up underneath the truck. This way you can see it clearer. We are now installing the rear bumper. First he's plugging in the harness that was taken loose to begin with into the trailer light plug. Now you've got to plug your sensors back in to where they unplugged from. The brackets go on the inside frame, inside of the frame. Right there, they got to go to the inside and they slide in. Before you go in all the way, you need to make sure that your little tube goes into the back of the pipe for your spare tire. And now you push the bumper all the way in. So then you have to put those bolts that we described about into the bracket of the bumper that goes to the inside of the frame. Once all your 3 of your bolts are in there, then you need to come out. It helps if you put a jack under it. You need to measure and make sure that you're close from side to side.
Good.
Should be pretty close. You want to make sure that you're in and out from the vehicle equally on each side, so you can measure there too, or visually if you can get it. You just want to make sure that you're pulled in and out the same on each side. Then you can have a jack underneath there, and it helps if you get from the side and you can visually look and make sure it's going with the truck. If this truck's going up, down a little bit in the front end, you can put the bumper up a little extra to go with the body line of the truck. Once you've got that in place, you're going to get back up underneath, and those bolts that we just got through putting in, series of 3 on each side, you need to tighten up. Once all the bolts have been tightened, once again just stand back and make sure that everything's even, looks level from side to side. And then you need to find an experienced guy that's done wiring to hook up your reverse lights to the backup lights on your truck, and the license plate lights will be hooked up to the ones that were clipped off from your factory bumper. And we hope you enjoy your new Frontier Truck Gear rear bumper.